So that's basically that. And depending on how the human race uh, uh, reacts to this, regardless of your occupation or your age or your ethnicity or your beliefs or whatever, there is a lot more information to be gained here. But in order to prove any of this, I do require clear, direct, honest communication, because I mean, if I don't have that, I cannot prove 2 plus 2 is 4 if you're not communicating honestly with me, and basically that's that. So. So anyway, the requirement there is at least experiencing at least 2 past lives, because it took a lot. It took a lot for me to experience everything I experienced, and I don't wish for everybody to go through what I went through there. But experiencing 2 past lives is necessary, because it just it wakes you right up, and this is about expansion of consciousness and spiritual development. That's the bottom line. So, all right. The next requirement for a level 4 saint is you do not tolerate dysfunctional behavior. So, once your consciousness expands to a certain level, and you perceive this reality in a certain way, and someone goes to act dysfunctionally around you or do something to hurt you without even basically you just don't want to tolerate dysfunctional behavior, and that's just something that when you expand your consciousness, that's the way it goes. So you just want to not only and the human race has been conditioned to accept tolerating dysfunctional behavior, and we shouldn't accept it. It's okay not to accept it, and at the level 4 saint, it's a requirement not to accept it, and you're going to be really going against the grain when you stick by that one. The next thing is you want to acknowledge the fact that nothing exists outside your fingertips, and this is an extremely, I mean, I could say, and I've said this a lot, but it's very, very important to realize that nothing exists outside your fingertips, because when you realize that, then you really get at a deep level that life is a test. Everything that you do, everything that you, everyone you're interacting with, it's a test. Nothing exists outside your fingertips, and you're creating your own reality. And that one fact of nothing exists outside your fingertips, which is clear when you do the sacred geometry and study the work of Leonardo da Vinci, you will reach that conclusion, because that is the truth. So that's another requirement. And another thing is that you are the center of your own universe. You're the center of your universe. I'm the center of my universe. And that's just the way it is. And it helps to understand the toroidal fields and the tiny space of your heart and the sacred space of your heart, and understand that you're living in a matrix. And the work of Lisa Renee the work of Lisa Renee can really help you there if you have trouble realizing you're the center of your own universe. And then the last thing is, you want to realize that you are living in a matrix. You are plugged into a matrix. So you want to watch the movie The Matrix, and then watch the movie The Matrix Reloaded. And there are a lot of things that, depending on who you are and how your consciousness needs to expand, that touches on a lot of different things that will help you evolve. And that's it. That's the conclusion of level 4. That, as far as we're concerned, is everything that you need to know and do to be a level 4 saint and to live as a level 4 saint. And then level 4, that would be a limitless supply of currency in every form of currency on the planet. And that would be done with an omni currency card. So, and we'll be getting more into that when we talk about the shift. But basically, if you're willing to look every single being in the eye on this planet and be completely honest with anyone who's willing to be completely honest with you, and you have your pineal gland active, you got your Merkaba active, you understand and have that deep of a level of grasp, and you're trying to help everybody that there is, and being completely honest when you do it, then that would be an Omni card, and that would be an infinite supply of currency in every currency on the planet. So that's that. Okay, and then so level 5. Now I'm level 4, and I'm striving to achieve level 5 myself, and I'm hoping that we all, the entire planet, strives to achieve level 5. And that's where the real good stuff is, and that's actually when you, I believe you have to actually reside in a higher level of existence to be level 5, but I'm not sure. It's possible that it could happen here. So I'm going to bring as much white magic and love and truth into this dimension that I possibly can. In the process of this. So the first requirement is to access and remain in the tiny space of your heart. You should already know about the tiny space of your heart because that was part of the homework in level 1. And basically when you're there you can do pretty much anything. When I was like 4 years old and 5 years old, I used to know how to get into the tiny space of my heart, and I didn't know what it was. But what I used to do was I'd close my eyes and pray for a really, really good feeling. That's what I used to call it, a really, really good feeling. And when I would do that, it would take me like a minute, and then all of a sudden this rush would come over my body, and I would just feel really great. And I'd feel energized and happy, and I'd feel love. And when I was in this place and experiencing things at that level, animals used to even materialize around me. And I guess I had a pet German Shepherd in another dimension, and when I would be in this space, in this, in that level of consciousness, I would still be in the physical dimension where I, everything would be the same as far as the physical dimension would go, but animals were able to materialize around me so that I could even pet it. That's how real it was, and that's the level of interaction I was able to have with other dimensions. So, and it was more than this. I mean, dogs, rabbits, birds, and these animals used to materialize so that I would try to tell someone else about this animal and what's happening, and like I told my parents about it, and they'd yell at me for lying because they didn't understand the different dimensions, and they didn't understand the tiny space of the heart. I mean, other levels of my family do understand all this stuff because they're at higher levels of existence, and they've come back to enlighten me in order so I could bring this information to you. But in that, when I was young, I was experiencing these things, and no one understood it. And then now that I'm starting to experience what I'm experiencing now, I'm having trouble, and I've accessed the tiny space of my heart twice in older, in this, within the past year or two. But it's not possible for me to stay in that space, so I can't really put that in a level that I haven't achieved. So we're just going to put that as level 5. Plus, once you're level 5, you can pretty much do anything. And then you want to be capable of at least 5 superpowers at will. I'm going to activate. My intention is to activate every superpower there is and experience. So if I want to fly, I take off and fly. If I want to light a fire, I light a fire. If I want to turn something cold, cryokinesis, I do it. And so that's I'm looking to achieve every single superpower there is. And I have experienced quite a few, and we're going to get into that when I start filling in the blanks for the QSETI website. But so basically, you want to be able to access and remain in the tiny space of your heart, and be able to perform 5 superpowers at will, regardless of what they are: invisibility, flying, whatever. Just 5. And you also want to have complete access to the source of all knowledge. And there's, well, I mean, 4 ways to do it right off the bat is communicating with the collective consciousness, communicating with extraterrestrial life, hypnosis at a somnambulistic level, or accessing the Akashic records, which requires you to be in the tiny space of your heart. But those are just 4 ways to access the source of all knowledge. And if you have access to this, this is very important in the process of upgrading the government, because a lot of things with the government now, they say, well, this is classified, this is national security, you can't know this, you can't know that. And if you have access to the source of all knowledge, and you can remote view, you don't need to tell them anything. You don't need to turn to them for advice. You don't need, if they want to keep all sorts of secrets, sorry to hear it. But, if you don't, if somebody and all they're about is secrets, and you have access to the source of all knowledge, then you won't follow them anymore. And that's basically, we're looking to empower the people in the government right now who know there's something wrong and ready to do something about it. And the people who are actually orchestrating these problems, we want to just go right up and over and past them, and ultimately remove them from a position where they are leading people down the wrong road. And we'll talk more about that during the course of the shift. And then the last thing that you want to become aware of is you want to acknowledge the lexicon for a living being. And now, the definition of lexicon is the vocabulary of a person, language, or branch of knowledge. So basically, we're looking to go interstellar here, because in my next life, what I'm going to do is what happens when you die depends on what you believe happens when you die. And I believe that anything is possible. And what I want to happen is I want to travel from galaxy to galaxy, star system to star system, and investigate all these planets and do, extremely fun, important things all around the universe. And when you're completely telepathic, what you need to understand is the language that is spoken when you're traveling from galaxy to galaxy. And the language that is used is the lexicon for a living being. And that gets into epistemology, which is the study of what distinguishes justified belief from opinion.